There was an era, Scott, where people would give their information on the internet freely. They'd register on every website. They'd register for every email newsletter. They'd sign up for every app. They'd allow notifications for every app. That era is over.
I guess the big thing on a lot of people's mind today is like, all the money that was spent at the Super Bowl. Like, how did you, as a marketer, you as somebody that does advertising and things like that, like, how did that go for you? How did the ads at the Super Bowl hit you?
Well, what's interesting is that the company that kind of won is the company that spent the least, which was Reddit. Yeah. I mean, Reddit, if you think about what Reddit did with a 5-second ad, there was no video camera, no movie camera, no actors, no actresses, no sets, no sound effects, just a screenshot with a lot of text. So they kind of broke every rule in the book, but we live in a world where people can pause their TV screen.
Right.
And I thought that was the smartest ad of the Super Bowl, and they also paid the least. So for me, it's really about getting creative. Some of the ads, like I actually thought the Fiverr ad was great, where they went to the Four Seasons lawn care, where Trump had done the press conference, or Rudy Giuliani. I thought that was really smart. Basically you should have hired somebody from Fiverr to vet this a little bit better. I like that ad a lot. Gary Vee's company put out an ad, and what I think, you have to look at it like, are we building our brand? Are we going for the impressions and the reach and the reciprocity, or do we want leads?
Yeah.
So I would say with Gary Vee's ad for Scott's Miracle-Gro, hardcore call to action, text this to win this. So, in many ways, they could probably argue that they had the best ad because they probably, generated the most like tangible leads from the ad. I liked it. I thought the Matthew McConaughey thing was pretty clever with Flat Matthew. Doritos always does a great job. But my biggest takeaway was Reddit. I've already been thinking, like, how do I copy that idea? How do I put out a 5-second video that just sort of forces people to watch it more than once or pause it and read it? I just thought it was super smart. So I liked a lot of them, but I would give Reddit the crown.
Right on. And, there was some Rocket Mortgage ads in there. I know that's one of your old stomping grounds, Quicken Loans. They ate up some ad space there too. I mean, how much money do you think was spent on the entire Super Bowl? How much money did we watch just float into the atmosphere?
I don't know, man. I think it's $5 million or something like that for 30 to 60 seconds. I actually thought that Quicken Loans actually did a good job with their ad as well. Now that you mentioned that, as far as I think it was sort of, you need to be precise. You don't need to be kind of approved. Yeah. You need to be really approved.
Right.
Which is, it's a good message for the whole industry because it's just true. Yeah. Right. But I would say
putting Tracy Morgan in there to make you laugh, like that is a strategy. You can really get into people's minds when you can make them laugh. You can really interject in your message if they're laughing while you're getting it in, I think. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I've actually read about the science behind that like people's brains literally release certain types of chemicals when they're laughing that helps to solderize a memory. Yeah. For sure. You got to do it right. If you're not a funny brand, you probably shouldn't put out funny marketing.
Right.
Right. Everything that you do still has to kind of be on brand, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, even the Saturday Night Live skit with Zillow. I think Zillow could have been, hey, let's get some propaganda going for our company. That might have been, somebody at Zillow calling up, Saturday Night Live and saying, hey, give us a little play time, like make fun of us or something like that. Cause that volume spiked after that show, volume for Zillow certainly went off the chart for the
Well,
day
the reason
after.
that commercial resonated is because it's true.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
On many levels.
Yeah.
But here's the thing is there were parts of that commercial. It's not even a commercial. See, I'm calling it a commercial.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't a commercial. I think it was earned. I don't think Zillow told them to do that. I think that was just smart writers at a meeting that came up with a clever idea.
I'm always a conspiracy.
I'm
I'm always diving into like, where I am and like, powers that be and like, how are we gonna, put things out that are gonna help us in certain ways. Like, so like I'm always like thinking backdoor scenarios.
Yeah, no, it's not. I'm not saying that might not have happened. I just personally don't think it did. But here's what no one's talking about with that skit. Number one, the guy registers. He didn't even want to register. He didn't even realize he registered. And a lot of consumers can relate to that. Number two, the realtor calls him and she's like trying to pivot him into other properties and bringing up all these other properties. She calls him back again, right? Which is something that, it's frustrating for consumers, but it's necessary for agents.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was an interesting dichotomy where there's almost like this heavenly experience pre-registration. And then it was like this negative experience post-registration.
Right.
But again, the reason that ad was relevant is it was truthful.
Yeah.
It sucks to get a million phone calls from people when you register online. It sucks to reach out to a realtor to want to talk about a property and they start trying to talk you into 2 or 3 others because that property maybe isn't listed anymore. And it sucks when people like Zillow more than they like us.
Yeah.
But those are all truths.
Well,
and so that's why it landed.
I know that you're going to get a pain point somewhere because even in our advertising, the advertising you helped me with, that we give them so much information. We give them like 8 pictures, and if they want to click the link down to our landing page,
yeah,
and we want with Accelerator, we want them to give us all this information.
Sure.
They will click out of it and go to the comments and complain about it before they get the information. So it's like, where do we want them complaining? Do we want them complaining prior to the phone call or while they're on the phone call? So like,
well, ideally neither, but that's just the reality of, there was an era, Scott, where people would give their information on the internet freely. They'd register on every website. They'd register for every email newsletter. They'd sign up for every app. They'd allow notifications for every app. That era is over. Yeah. What you should want to do, and what we try to do is say, listen, if you put a little bit of friction in front of people, require their name, phone number, email, time frame, like what you're actually doing is you are repelling a lot of folks that are not far enough down in the funnel to be worth your time to have a conversation. You're also capturing some folks that are.
Right.
But yeah, like, think about, you mentioned Quicken. I mentioned the Gary V campaign with Scott's Miracle Grow. They're giving massive value in exchange for your info, like the Super Bowl squares, right?
Yeah.
$50,000 every time the score changes. 2 people are going to win $500,000. Scott's Miracle Grow is giving you the backyard of your dreams, this huge kind of a prize. But the reality is those are all super top of funnel leads, right? Like, I think what would be really interesting would be to put yourself into that funnel and see what happens. How do they nurture a lead that came in off of a contest and slowly get them into a purchase? Like, if you're at Quicken Loans today and you're calling people that entered the Rocket Square mortgage contest, I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good phone call. Maybe it converts 1 in 1,000 instead of 1 in 100. Maybe what they do is they do email marketing to nurture that lead, or text message marketing to get the lead to say, hey, I actually might want to refinance right now, or hey, I might want to get approved, right? So you kind of bring them in way at the top, but then you give them a fast track to the bottom. Say, hey, by the way, if you did want to get some of Scott's Miracle Grow this weekend, it's half off as a thank you for entering the contest. Print the coupon, download the coupon. There's ways to do it, but you got to really be thoughtful about that funnel. If all you do is fill the top of your funnel with contests and giveaways and humor, you're going to be thinking, well, that was great, but we didn't get anything from it.
Yeah. I think number one on Quicken, we've got such a competitive market here, as you know, like, we're putting property on the market and it's getting multiples above asking price immediately right now. And the problem with Quicken is, consumer facing, they're great. But back end on like, my relationship with a Quicken loan officer and my relationship in the public perception with other agents is like, there's going to be something going wrong with that transaction because they're not somebody you can reach out and touch here locally. You can't, there's a different dynamic when they can hide behind the phone or hide behind the computer and they're not here locally. We're actually losing out on deals because we're Quicken loan approved. Like they prefer to go with, so Quicken has another challenge to jump over. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they become the trusted people from no local presence other than,
well, they've already done it, Scott. They're the largest lender in the country by far.
Yeah.
So you're right. What they did is they went all in on the consumer.
Yeah.
And now they're going, okay, we need to work with the industry a little bit better. They're at NAR with a booth.
Right.
They're doing industry relations, right? They're probably starting to think a little bit about which agents they connect the pre-approved buyer with, knowing how many agents are terrible and it's not fun to work with them. But, they have gone all in with industry relations at this point.
Right.
But for a decade, they just won the hearts and minds of the customer. Rocket Mortgage, Quicken Loans.
Yeah.
A fun fact, not everybody knows this, but the reason that they licensed the name Quicken Loans, they licensed that name. No different than Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate. They licensed that name. No different than Sotheby's, right? They licensed that name because it builds trust. Because if you go ask most consumers, especially when Quicken first started, hey, are you familiar with QuickBooks and TurboTax? It's like, yeah, I've heard of that. Well, this is the same parent company. Like that's why it's called Quicken Loans, because it's QuickBooks and TurboTax, just like Sotheby's is the auction house and BH&G is the magazine. That's a play to build trust with people over the phone that you're never going to meet.
Right.